August is one of my favorite months in the year for gardening, and it's time to sow the seeds that will fill your garden and kitchen with flavor and color all summer long. In today's video, we're going to have a look at the list of seeds that I'm going to plant now in August to make sure that I have got a spring and summer harvest. So now that the soil is warming up, it's really going to be a good time to start your seeds. You'd get such a head start above your neighbors. It is incredible. Let's start off with tomatoes. I love sowing tomatoes. Tomatoes are so easy. They actually grow as weeds in my garden sometimes. And they really just want to grow. It's not difficult, and people say that they are very hungry. Well, what you can do for that hunger is just compost. Lots of beautiful homemade compost. That seems to sort out all their needs. My favorite varieties to sow are the Santa variety of cherry tomatoes. They are so sweet and they make these huge trusses. It's like grapes. What I do with those is the seeds. I just save seeds from the tomatoes that I would have bought at the shop. In the shop they call them Spanish Santas, but I did Google it and I think it's just, they just call it. Another variety of cocktail tomato that I have, which I've overwintered in my greenhouse, is Little Wonder. That is cherry tomato, and it is also beautifully sweet. I love cherry tomatoes because it's so easy. You can just eat them where you are in the garden. You can pack them in a lunch box. You can just pop them just like that into salad, no needing to cut them up. And they are so sweet. And then as far as your bigger tomatoes go, I like the emerald tomato. It is an oval shaped tomato. It grows prolifically. It is really something else. I probably got about 40 kilograms from, I wonder how many plants that was. That was probably 12 plants. They are just something else. And what I like about them is that they are nice and fleshy, so it makes it a very nice tomato for sauce. Although I must just say, they are not very nice, sweet tomatoes. That's sort of not their strength. But they don't have many seeds, and it's a lot of like a fleshy thing. And then for a tomato, like a sandwich tomato, I would go with a Moneymaker because they are nice and sweet and they are not very big. So you can quickly make a sandwich. So it's like a medium-sized tomato, and you're not going to have half a tomato left, which I would just feed that to the chickens. But those are my tomato varieties. Next up is potatoes. I've actually already, in my last video you would see, I've already got potatoes that are this big. When the volunteer potatoes started popping up in my garden, then I kind of knew. July, guys, July. That's the middle of winter for us. Obviously here on the coast we are subtropical coastal climate, and so we don't get heavy frosts or anything. Only in the very low-lying areas will people that I've spoken to in our region get frost. As far as varieties go for potatoes, I have bought potatoes, seed potatoes before, and I just thought this is really not a good return on my investment. I had bought them from a garden center in town, and it was 140 or 120 rand for 20 seed potatoes. And I just really didn't feel that was worth my money. So what I just do is I wait for them to start shooting out in the kitchen. You do run a risk, obviously, of having diseases on them, but maybe actually I was thinking maybe with the baby potatoes it would work better because they are beautiful. They haven't got any like scab or any markings on them, so maybe that will work better for me. But I still get potatoes, so even if they do have marks and stuff every now and then, that it's just really not worth my while to buy seed potatoes. Next on my list is cucumbers. I would love to get the lovely long English cucumbers, but I don't want to pay 30 rand for 3 seeds and then they don't germinate. If you know where to get English cucumber seeds at a good price, please let me know in the comments section. But what I have been growing for years now, and it just works for me, are Ashley cucumbers. I have also tried a Moneymaker. They didn't actually even germinate. I bought them online. Those seeds didn't germinate. But the Ashleys, they're just a steady supply. They're not very big. They're probably about this long. And then they've got quite it's sort of a thick skin, so I do peel it. Some people don't bother, they eat it just like that. But they're actually almost sweet. They are just divine. Now is the time. You can sow your cucumber seeds. You would definitely want to do that indoors or in a greenhouse if you have. Sometimes you might need, if your winters are really, right now, if it's still very cold, you might need a heat mat to germinate them. But you can definitely start sowing now in August. Beans. I love beans. I love the bush bean the most because it's the least work, because then I don't have to trellis them up. But if you want beans that you would like to dry, then Witse beans are they're actually a South African variety of beans. They will grow quite prolifically, and you can actually eat them when they are still like a green bean, but you can then leave them to dry. They make little white beans. My favorite bush bean to grow is the Star 2000. I find that one really just produces. It's amazing. Now with beans, this is definitely the best time to grow. If you want to try and sow your seeds, if you have a very hot summer, they don't like to germinate when the soil temperature is too hot. So now would be a really good time to grow or to sow your seeds. And what I found is that, especially with the bush beans, they just produce for months on end. So you can sow now, and then you'll sow again in a month's time, and then you should have enough beans to last you almost right through to autumn. Next up is sweet corn. So it was quite interesting in June. Was it in June? Beginning of July. In the beginning of July, I did a mountain bike race also in the Gamtes Valley. And I was surprised to see that they had already started sowing maize. The maize was already this high in the fields. Maybe it's a certain variety, maybe it's just that GMO stuff that they can do that with, but I was quite surprised. I was like thinking maybe August is a little bit soon, because 2 years ago I did have a problem with sweet corn, which would not germinate. It would just rot in the ground. But it was a very wet spring, well, late summer, early spring. The varieties that I like to grow for sweet corn are Golden Bantam. It isn't a very tall variety, but the cobs are about this long. And then another variety is Asachai. I grew that one last year. That one was very nice. Another variety which you can get then in the supermarket is Inferno. You want to get a head start on your peppers as well. Peppers just seem to take so long. I have actually harvested some peppers yesterday, which have been in the ground for ages, and then it just took so very long to fruit. So you can start your pepper plants now, and then by summer you should be able to harvest your fruit. August is also a good time to start sowing your baby marrow, butternut, or pumpkin seeds. You might want to do that indoors if it's quite cold in your area still this time of the year. But I have a friend, she sowed last month baby marrows, and they're already this big, and she's planted them out. So in our area, you can definitely sow those things. If you're in a colder area, then you might want to just do it indoors and then plant them out when the weather's warmed up a little bit more, and if your plants are a little bit bigger. As far as varieties go, I usually just get whatever is in the local garden center seeds. Sometimes for butternut, I will just save the seeds that I have from a butternut that I bought at the shop. And then for pumpkin, last year was the first year that I grew pumpkin, and I had such an amazing success from 2 plants. I suppose you could say success. It was definitely successful because we're still eating of the one pumpkin. It was this big. So I feel almost that pumpkin is a really a good one to go for, because you don't need that many plants And even if you just get 2 of those big pumpkins, then you're set for the whole of winter. And then you can have 1 or 2 butternut plants so that you can have a bit of a variety. But I must say, pumpkin fritters are next level when you use pumpkins and not butternut. All the years I've always just used butternut, but when you use pumpkin, next level. And pumpkin pie, oh my hat. And then last on my list is carrots. I like to sow the Nantes variety, but I mean, you get a Karoo, Chantenay, and Javelin. If I can get Javelin, I like Javelin. But I think now, I mean, they say on the package you can sow carrots in South Africa all year long, as long as you don't get frost. But I do find that if you have carrots over summer, they just don't seem to thrive very well. You'll have to water them a lot. And then they have, well, what do my children say? They identify as a bar of soap. They get that bitter taste, and then it's just nasty. I mean, I've even noticed the shop varieties will do the same. When you buy them in summer, carrots are bitter in summer. If you sow your carrot seeds now, by the time when it gets really hot, like December, January, you'll definitely have been able to harvest your carrots. And don't forget flowers. You can sow zinnias and cosmos and sunflowers. Just remember, with the sunflowers, you want them 40 centimeters away from your other plants. But they are such a joy. When you go into your garden, it just makes you want to be there. And of course, they attract the pollinators. So that is it for my list of seeds that I'm going to sow now in August. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it useful. And tell me in the comments what you are sowing now in August. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, then please give it a thumbs up and subscribe and share with your friends. I'll see you in the next video.